The crack of a rifle echoes through a snow-covered valley. A single brass casing tumbles through the air, glinting in the winter sun. In the distance, a target falls, dead center, 800 yards out. The year is 1985. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. Dawn breaks over a modest ranch house nestled against the backdrop of the Montana wilderness. The morning routine of Marcus Reynolds, a weathered man in his mid-60s, begins like clockwork. His calloused hands, though aged, move with practiced precision as he prepares his morning coffee. The kitchen walls are sparse, save for a single dusty photograph of a younger Marcus in military dress, partially hidden behind a cabinet. Next to it, a faded medal in a small frame catches the early morning light, a distinguished service cross that most visitors mistake for a simple decoration. Through the window, we see his well-maintained property, a shooting range gone to seed, targets weathered by years of Montana storms. What was once a training ground now serves as nothing more than a reminder of a past life. Wooden posts at various distances, 300, 500, and 800 yards, stand as silent witnesses to countless hours of precision practice. His only companion is an aging German shepherd named Scout, who follows him with unwavering loyalty. The dog's military training shows in his alert posture and watchful eyes, a guardian as dedicated as his master. In town, Marcus is known simply as the old guy at the edge of Miller's Creek, a quiet retiree who fixes hunting rifles for locals at discount prices. His small workshop, attached to the ranch house, sees a steady stream of customers seeking his expertise with firearms. They know him as a skilled gunsmith, nothing more, nothing less. Local hunters swear by his work, claiming he can make any rifle shoot straight as an arrow, though few have ever heard him speak more than a dozen words at a time. The workshop itself is a testament to decades of experience, walls lined with specialized tools, the air thick with the smell of gun oil and wood polish. A worn leather chair in the corner holds the implicit promise that every job will be done right, no matter how long it takes. Today, like every day, Marcus works with methodical precision, his reading glasses perched on his nose as he adjusts the scope on a customer's hunting rifle. At the local diner, Clara Bennett serves him the same breakfast he's ordered for the past 7 years, black coffee and wheat toast. She's one of the few people who've managed to crack his stoic exterior, even if just barely. Her diner, a warm refuge from the Montana cold, has become his morning ritual. Today, she notices something different in his demeanor. Attention in his just the weather changing, he replies, his voice gravelly from years of disuse. But his eyes scan the diner with military precision, noting 2 unfamiliar faces at the counter, rough-looking men who seem out of place in their small town. They carry themselves with a predator's confidence, their jackets bulging slightly at the waist where concealed weapons might rest. Back at his ranch, Marcus receives a call from his estranged daughter Sarah. Their conversation is strained, formal. She's worried about recent news reports of a violent gang moving through Montana, the Red Rattlers they're called. Marcus assures her he's fine, though his free hand instinctively moves to the hidden compartment under his desk where an old sniper's logbook rests. The book's pages are filled with calculations, distances, and coordinates, a record of shots that most would consider impossible. That afternoon, young Bobby Wilson brings in his grandfather's hunting rifle for repairs. The teenager's enthusiasm for firearms reminds Marcus of simpler times. As Marcus works, Bobby notices a distinctive tattoo on the old man's forearm, a ghost with a rifle scope for an eye. The marking is unlike anything Bobby's seen before, military or otherwise. Before he can ask about it, Marcus pulls down his sleeve, his movement deliberate and final. "Should be ready by Thursday," Marcus says, effectively ending any potential questions. Bobby nods, sensing the shift in atmosphere, and heads out into the afternoon sun. Later that night, as Marcus performs his evening security check, a habit he's never broken, he spots fresh tire tracks leading up to his property line. Scout's ears perk up, sensing his master's unease. In the distance, a flash of light from the tree line catches his attention, someone watching. The position is amateur, obvious to someone with his training. Marcus mentally calculates the distance, 600 yards, a shot he could make in his sleep, even now. Marcus moves to his bedroom, pulls out a dusty box from beneath his bed. Inside, wrapped in oiled cloth, lies a custom M24 rifle, a weapon that hasn't seen use in nearly 2 decades. His fingers trace the familiar curves of the stock, muscle memory from thousands of hours behind the scope flooding back. The rifle represents everything he left behind yet kept close, knowing someday the past would come calling. "Not yet," he whispers, replacing the rifle. "But soon." In town, Sheriff Kate Morrison reviews a federal bulletin about the Red Rattler gang's movement through the state. 3 banks hit in 2 weeks, leaving a trail of violence. Her deputy, Mike Chen, brings her a concerning detail. They seem to be following a pattern, and Millbrook's bank could be next. The sheriff's office, small and underfunded, isn't equipped to handle what might be coming. What nobody realizes is that the gang's arrival in Millbrook isn't random. Their leader, Victor "Viper" Russo, has been methodically working his way through Montana with a secondary objective: hunting down someone who, according to underworld whispers, disappeared into these mountains years ago. Someone known in certain circles only as Ghost Eye, the deadliest sharpshooter the military ever produced. As the sun sets over Millbrook, Marcus sits in his darkened living room cleaning his old service pistol. Scout rests at his feet, both of them aware that their quiet life is about to change. On his table, tomorrow's newspaper sits unopened, its headline warning of the approaching storm. "Red Rattler gang strikes again, 3 dead in Helena heist." The wind picks up outside, carrying with it the promise of violence. Marcus Reynolds, known to most as a simple gunsmith, feels the weight of his past settling back onto his shoulders. Tomorrow he'll go through the motions of normal life one last time. But tonight, he prepares. His hands move through the familiar ritual of weapons maintenance, each motion a reminder of skills that, like his rifle, have been carefully preserved, waiting for the moment they'd be needed again. The next morning arrives with an unusual stillness. Marcus notices it immediately. The birds aren't singing, and Scout's behavior has changed, the dog's posture rigid and alert. As he steps onto his front porch, coffee in hand, his trained eye catches subtle disturbances in the landscape. Displaced gravel on his driveway, a branch broken at chest height along his property line, signs that someone's been watching his house. In town, the atmosphere has shifted. The 2 strangers from yesterday's diner are now 4, scattered strategically around Millbrook's small downtown. Marcus spots one lounging outside the general store, another pretending to read a newspaper by the bank. Their practiced casualness sets off warning bells in his mind. These aren't random drifters. At his workshop, Marcus receives an unexpected visitor. Sheriff Kate Morrison appears in his doorway, her stance professional but concerned. She's holding a federal bulletin with photographs of the Red Rattler gang members. "Thought you should see this?" she says, spreading the photos across his workbench. "They hit another bank yesterday, just 60 miles north. Pattern suggests we might be next." Marcus studies the photos with more attention than a simple gunsmith should show. His eyes linger on one image in particular, Victor "Viper" Russo, the gang's leader. There's something familiar about the man's face, something that stirs old memories. "Any of these men look familiar?" Kate asks, watching his reaction carefully. "Some folks mentioned seeing strangers in town." "Can't say they do," Marcus replies, but his hand unconsciously moves to his forearm where the Ghost Eye tattoo lies hidden beneath his sleeve. Kate notices the gesture but says nothing. As she leaves, Marcus catches a glimpse of Deputy Chen talking to one of the strangers outside. The conversation seems friendly enough, but Marcus recognizes the subtle signs of intelligence gathering. The stranger is asking questions about the town, about its residents. At the diner, Clara's teenage daughter Lisa is working the lunch shift when 2 of the newcomers enter. Their eyes scan the room with predatory intent, lingering too long on the young waitress. Marcus, sitting in his usual corner booth, feels his trigger finger twitch, a reflex he hasn't experienced in years. "Everything okay, Mr. Reynolds?" Lisa asks, noticing his tension. Before he can answer, one of the men approaches their table. It's Diego Quick Draw Martinez, though Marcus doesn't know his name yet. The man's jacket is open enough to reveal a shoulder holster. "Nice town you got here," Martinez says, his smile not reaching his eyes. "Especially that bank. Real old-fashioned building. Bet it's got real old-fashioned security, too." Marcus meets his gaze steadily. "Town's got everything it need," he replies, his voice carrying a weight that makes Martinez pause. "Including people who look out for it." The implied threat hangs in the air. Martinez's hand drifts toward his concealed weapon, but his companion calls him away. As they leave, Marcus notices they're driving a black SUV with Montana plates. Stolen, probably. That afternoon, Bobby Wilson returns to pick up his grandfather's rifle. The teenager's usual chatter is replaced by nervous energy. "Mr. Reynolds," Bobby says, glancing over his shoulder, "those men in town, they were asking about you, about whether anyone around here was military, especially snipers. Said they were writing a book about veterans." Marcus's expression doesn't change, but internally, pieces start falling into place. He hands Bobby the repaired rifle, along with something extra, a small piece of paper with a phone number. "If you see those men again," Marcus says quietly, "call that number. Ask for Sarah. Tell her Ghost Eye sends regards." Bobby nods, understanding the gravity of the moment even if he doesn't grasp its full meaning. As the boy leaves, Marcus moves to his computer, another habit he's maintained. He begins searching news reports about the Red Rattler gang, looking for patterns, for connections. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. What he finds sends a chill down his spine. The gang's path through Montana isn't random. They've been hitting towns in a specific sequence, each one home to a former military member. 3 veterans are already dead, each one a former sniper, each one killed execution style before the bank robberies. Marcus's phone rings. It's Ray Henderson, his old spotter from his military days. Before Marcus can speak, Ray's urgent voice comes through. "They found me, Ghost Eye. The twins are here. They're looking for..." The line goes dead. Marcus moves quickly to his bedroom, pulls out the M24 rifle. This time he removes it completely from its case, begins a thorough check of the weapon. Scout watches from the doorway, sensing the change in his master. In town, Sheriff Morrison is piecing together her own puzzle. The Federal Bulletin contains redacted military records connected to the gang's victims. She begins running a background check on Marcus Reynolds, her instincts telling her there's more to the quiet gunsmith than meets the eye. As evening approaches, Marcus spots the twin brothers, Tommy and Jimmy Carson, watching his house from the tree line. They're better at concealment than Martinez, but to Marcus's trained eye, they might as well be standing in broad daylight. He makes a show of closing his curtains, turning off lights, appearing to settle in for the night. Instead, he moves silently through his house, gathering supplies. Money, ammunition, and a satellite phone are stashed in strategic locations. He changes into black clothing, comfortable but practical. The M24 is cleaned, loaded, and ready. Scout's low growl alerts him to movement outside. Through his scope, Marcus watches as the twins advance toward his house, thinking him asleep. Their mistake. The old sharpshooter allows himself a grim smile, the first real smile in years. "Time to remind them," he whispers to Scout, "why they called me Ghost Eye." The Montana night grows darker, and somewhere in the distance, thunder rolls across the mountains. The quiet life Marcus Reynolds built for himself is about to shatter, but as his finger finds its familiar place near the trigger, he realizes part of him has been waiting for this moment all along. The Carson twins make their first mistake at exactly 2:47 a.m. They split up. Through his scope, Marcus watches Tommy circle toward the back door, while Jimmy approaches from the front. Their second mistake is assuming the house's layout from their surveillance. What they don't know is that Marcus has built a hidden observation post in his attic, with clear sight lines to every approach. Scout lies silently at his master's feet, trained not to make a sound. The dog's ears prick up at the faint scratch of lockpicks on the front door. Marcus allows himself a small smile. He'd left that door deliberately vulnerable, an invitation they couldn't resist. Through his night vision scope, Marcus watches Jimmy ease the front door open. The young man's movements are professional, military-trained, but he's used to urban environments, not the creaky floorboards of an old Montana ranch house. Each step betrays his position. Suddenly, a burst of radio static breaks the silence. Movement at the Miller Creek Junction. A voice crackles through Jimmy's earpiece. Multiple vehicles heading your way. Police bands lit up. Marcus recognizes the voice. Diego Martinez, their lookout. His warning comes too late. The first shot comes from Marcus's hidden position, not to kill, but to control. The bullet strikes the floorboard inches from Jimmy's foot, sending splinters flying. The message is clear. I could have taken the shot. Jimmy dives for cover, but Marcus has already moved. Years of practice have taught him how to transition between firing positions silently, like a ghost. Scout remains perfectly still, awaiting commands. "Tommy!" Jimmy hisses into his radio. "He's still here." The intel was wrong. From his new position, Marcus spots Tommy trying to circle back to his brother. The younger twin's panic makes him sloppy. He exposes himself for a fraction of a second. Another warning shot kicks up dirt at his feet, forcing him back into cover. I count 2 shooters, maybe 3. Tommy radios, completely misjudging the situation. Professional setup. Marcus allows himself another grim smile. Let them think they're facing a team. Fear is a weapon, too. Inside the house, Jimmy makes his third mistake. He tries to reach the stairs leading to the second floor. Marcus triggers his first trap. A simple tripwire sends a cascade of metal tools crashing down, the noise deafening in the quiet house. Jimmy fires blindly at the sound, emptying half his magazine into Marcus's workshop wall. Police response time in Millbrook is 8 minutes. Marcus's voice echoes through the house, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere. You've wasted 3. Consider your next move carefully. The twins hear the confidence in his voice, the complete lack of fear. This isn't the semi-retired gunsmith they were sent to eliminate. This is someone else entirely. Outside, Tommy attempts to provide covering fire for his brother. His muzzle flash gives away his new position. Marcus's response is immediate. A shot so precise it splits Tommy's radio antenna, cutting off communication with Martinez. "Ghost eye," Jimmy breathes, the recognition finally hitting him. "It's really you." "Tell Russo," Marcus replies, his voice closer now. "He should have done his homework, should have remembered Afghanistan." The name strikes home. Both twins freeze, realizing just who they're facing. Their target isn't just any former military sniper. He's the legend that even other snipers spoke about in whispers. In the distance, police sirens begin to wail. Marcus knows it's probably Sheriff Morrison, responding to reports of gunfire. He needs to end this quickly, contain the situation before civilian law enforcement arrives. "Last chance," Marcus announces. "Drop your weapons, walk away. Tell Russo what happened here, or don't walk away at all." For a moment, silence falls. Then Jimmy makes his final mistake. He turns to run, bringing his weapon up as he moves. Marcus's shot is precise, mechanical. The bullet strikes Jimmy's shoulder, a disabling wound that sends him sprawling. Tommy breaks cover to help his brother, but Scout is waiting. The German Shepherd launches from his hidden position, taking the younger twin down with practiced efficiency. The dog pins Tommy without seriously injuring him, another testament to Marcus's training. As the twins lie subdued, Marcus emerges from the shadows. His movements are fluid, purposeful, showing none of the stiffness he'd displayed in town. Gone is the quiet gunsmith. In his place stands a warrior who never really retired. "Your boss," Marcus says, securing their weapons. He's using you. This isn't about Banks. It's about finding me. Ask yourselves why. Headlights appear at the end of his driveway. Sheriff Morrison's patrol car. Marcus quickly zip ties the twins, hiding their weapons. He has seconds to decide how to play this. 8 minutes, he tells the brothers. Like I said, choose your next words carefully. Kate Morrison approaches with her weapon drawn, Deputy Chen covering her flank. She takes in the scene. 2 injured men on the ground, Marcus standing calmly beside them, Scout still in guard position. Mr. Reynolds, she says, her tone professional but her eyes full of questions. Want to explain what happened here? Home invasion, Marcus replies smoothly. These men broke in. Scout and I defended ourselves. He gestures to his workshop. They seemed very interested in my gunsmithing business. The twins, understanding the implicit threat in his words, nod in agreement. They've seen enough to know that crossing Ghost Eye means death. As Morrison reads them their rights, Marcus catches movement in his peripheral vision, a black SUV pulling away from the tree line. Martinez, escaping to report back to Russo. Good, Marcus thinks. Let him run. Let him tell his boss what he found here. Because now, the real game begins. Once the sheriff's car disappears down his driveway, Marcus returns to his workshop. He opens a hidden panel behind his workbench, revealing a wall of surveillance monitors, communication equipment, and weapons. On a central screen, a map shows known locations of the Red Rattler gang. His phone buzzes, a text from Sarah. They found Ray. He's alive but hurt. Time to move? Marcus begins typing his response, knowing that tomorrow, the quiet gunsmith of Millbrook will vanish. Ghost Eye is back in the hunt. Dawn hasn't yet broken when Marcus begins executing his long-prepared escape plan. His movements are precise, practiced. This isn't the first time he's had to disappear. In his workshop, he activates a small thermite charge that will destroy his surveillance equipment. No traces left behind. His go bag, hidden in a false panel beneath his gun safe, contains everything essential: cash, multiple IDs, burner phones, and a set of coordinates known only to him and Sarah. The weight of the bag feels familiar, like greeting an old friend he'd hoped never to see again. Scout watches as Marcus methodically transforms his appearance. The beard he's worn for 7 years comes off, revealing a sharper jaw. Hair dye removes the gray, taking 15 years off his appearance. Colored contacts change his eyes from blue to brown. The shuffling gunsmith vanishes, replaced by someone harder, more dangerous. His phone buzzes, a text from Sarah. Ray's at St. Vincent's Hospital, Helena, room 412. They're watching him. Marcus begins typing. Time to run the Chimera protocol. Her response is immediate. Already started. Meeting point in 48 hours. The Chimera protocol, something they'd planned years ago but hoped never to use. It means Sarah will now begin systematically burning her FBI cover as Angela Morrison, implementing her own escape plan. Like father, like daughter. In his garage, Marcus uncovers a vehicle hidden beneath a tarp, a matte black Ford Bronco, modified with reinforced panels and run-flat tires. The engine purrs to life, maintained regularly despite years of disuse. Scout jumps into the passenger seat, assuming his familiar position. But before leaving, Marcus has one more task. He heads to Clara's diner, arriving just as she's opening for the early morning shift. Her eyes widen at his transformed appearance. Marcus? What? No time, he cuts her off, pressing an envelope into her hands. Inside is $50,000 and a phone number. If anyone comes looking for me, if you or Lisa feel threatened, call it. Someone will come. Clara starts to protest, but Marcus continues. The men who were here yesterday? They're coming back with more friends. They won't be gentle with their questions. Understanding dawns in Clara's eyes. She's lived in Montana long enough to recognize a hunted man. The shooting at your place last night was just the beginning, he finishes. Thank you for the coffee. all these years. Before she can respond, he's gone. Through his rearview mirror, Marcus watches her quickly hide the envelope beneath the counter. Good woman, smart. On the outskirts of town, Marcus spots Deputy Chen's patrol car parked at Miller's Creek Bridge. The young officer pretends to be running speed enforcement, but Marcus recognizes a surveillance position when he sees one. The sheriff's department is more observant than he'd given them credit for. His burner phone rings, an unknown number. Marcus answers with caution. They have Ray's granddaughter, a gravelly voice says without preamble. It's Frank Cooper, the town gunsmith he'd occasionally collaborated with. Russo's men grabbed her an hour ago, said they'd trade her for you. Marcus's grip tightens on the steering wheel. Ray's granddaughter Sophie, 16 years old, innocent. Where? Old lumber mill, noon today. Ray's girl for Ghost Eye, those were the terms. Who else knows? Just me. Ray called in a favor, said I might know how to reach you. Marcus checks his watch. 4 hours until noon. Keep it quiet, Frank. I'll handle it. Ending the call, Marcus pulls over to analyze his options. The lumber mill is 30 miles north, abandoned for a decade. Good sight lines, multiple approach vectors, but also plenty of places to hide hostages. Russo is forcing his hand, making him choose between his escape plan and an innocent life. No choice at all, really. Opening his laptop, Marcus accesses satellite imagery of the lumber mill from a private server, another resource from his previous life. The facility has changed since the last update, but the basic layout remains the same. He begins marking potential sniper positions, escape routes, likely hostage locations. Scout whines softly, sensing his master's tension. Marcus scratches the dog's ears, a rare display of affection. One last hunt, old friend. His phone buzzes again. Sarah. Hospital security cameras show Martinez visiting Ray's room. He's under guard, but they're letting the gang through. Local police compromised? Probably, Marcus replies. Change of plans. Meeting point delayed. Sophie's been taken. A pause, then. The mill? Yes. It's a trap. Of course. Another pause. I'm 3 hours out, Northeast Ridge? Marcus allows himself a small smile. Even after all these years, his daughter thinks like him. Just like Damascus. Try not to start World War III this time. And Dad, watch your six. The call ends. Marcus pulls back onto the road, heading north. In the passenger seat, his M24 rifle waits in its case, along with something special, a prototype scope he'd been developing in his workshop. Time to field test it. A mile from the lumber mill, Marcus turns off onto a logging road. The Bronco's reinforced suspension handles the rough terrain easily. He parks in a natural hide, concealed by thick pines. Perfect sightline to the mill's main yard. As he begins assembling his rifle, a memory surfaces. Ray watching his back in Afghanistan, calling out wind changes, marking targets. Now Ray's granddaughter is paying the price for their shared past. Marcus chambers around, the sound crisp in the morning air. Ghost Eye disappeared 15 years ago, choosing peace over violence. But now, watching the mill through his scope, Marcus Reynolds accepts that peace was always an illusion. The ghost has work to do. Through his scope, Marcus counts 12 men patrolling the lumber mill's perimeter. Too many for a simple hostage exchange. His trained eye picks out their positioning. These aren't just gang members. They're former military. Their movement patterns suggest special forces training. You see it too? Sarah's voice comes through his earpiece. She's set up on the Northeast Ridge, just as planned. Like her father, she prefers the M24, though hers is modernized with tactical attachments he barely recognizes. Private contractors, Marcus confirms. Russo's upgraded his personnel. A flash of movement catches his eye. Sophie being led from a storage shed to the main building. The teenager walks with her head high, showing a courage that makes Marcus's jaw tighten. Ray taught her well. Target confirmed, Sarah reports. 2 guards, possibly more inside. They're keeping her away from windows. Smart. They remembered Damascus. A new vehicle approaches the mill. Sheriff Morrison's patrol car. Marcus watches through his scope as Kate steps out alone. No deputy, no backup. She walks toward the main entrance with her hands visible. "This complicates things," Sarah mutters. "No," Marcus replies. "An idea forming. This gives us an opening." Kate's voice crackles over the police band they're monitoring. "This is Sheriff Morrison. I'm responding to reports of suspicious activity at the lumber mill." Marcus watches Russo himself emerge from the building. Even at this distance, there's something familiar about him, something that tugs at old memories. The gang leader speaks briefly with Kate, his gestures calm, reasonable. "Sheriff's clean," Sarah reports, having run background checks earlier. No connection to Russo's organization. She followed the twins' trail here. "Good. Time to give her some help." Marcus takes out his phone, dials Frank Cooper's number. The old gunsmith answers immediately. "You in position?" "Yes," Frank replies. "Got the package you asked for. Sure about this?" "Do it." 3 minutes later, Frank's truck appears on the access road, loaded with gun safes for delivery to the new hunting lodge. It's a paper-thin excuse, but it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to give Kate a reason to stay. Marcus watches through his scope as Frank's arrival draws attention. Guards shift position, creating small gaps in their coverage. More importantly, it pulls eyes away from the tree line where Sarah is slowly working her way closer to the main building. "Movement inside," Sarah reports. "They're getting nervous. Wait. Something's wrong." Marcus sees it too. The guards are too alert, too ready. This isn't just an ambush for him. They're expecting something else. His suspicion is confirmed when 2 more vehicles arrive. Black SUVs with government plates. 4 men in tactical gear emerge, led by a face Marcus hasn't seen in 15 years. Colonel James Hartford, his former commanding officer. The man who should be dead. "Dad!" Sarah's voice is tense. "That's impossible. Hartford died in the Damascus operation." "Apparently not." Marcus's mind races, reassessing everything. "Check the guards again. Look for Marine Force recon patterns." A pause as Sarah observes. "Confirmed. These aren't contractors. They're Force recon. Active duty." The pieces start falling into place. Russo isn't just a gang leader. He's running a military operation, sanctioned by someone with serious authority. And Hartford's presence means this goes deeper than revenge. Marcus switches channels on his radio, accessing an encrypted frequency he'd hoped never to use again. "Watchmaker, this is Ghost Eye. Authentication code Sierra 7 Delta Niner." Seconds tick by. Then a familiar voice. "Authentication confirmed. Been a long time, Ghost Eye. Need background on Hartford last 15 years. Priority channel. Stand by." While waiting, Marcus watches Hartford interact with Russo. Their body language tells a story. Hartford's in charge. Russo's just the visible face of the operation. The bank robberies, the murdered veterans, all of it was theater, designed to flush out Ghost Eye. "Data incoming," Watchmaker reports. Hartford went dark after Damascus. Official status deceased. Unofficial. Running black ops through private channels. Multiple ops in Afghanistan, all involving specialized reconnaissance of mining operations. Specific focus. Rare earth minerals. The final piece clicks. "Son of a bitch," Marcus breathes. "Sarah, remember what Ray told us about the valley? What did we really find there?" "The mineral surveys," she replies. 10 trillion in rare earth deposits. But that was classified, known only to the survey team, us, Ray, Hartford, and Russo, Sarah finishes. He was our local guide. Below, Hartford enters the main building. Through the windows, Marcus catches glimpses of Sophie being moved again. They're setting up for the exchange, but now it's clear. They don't just want Ghost Eye. They want confirmation that the mineral survey data died with the team. "Frank," Marcus radios. "New plan. When I give the signal, I need a distraction. Something big." Already wired, the gunsmith replies. Just say when. Marcus takes a slow breath, falling into the familiar calm of a mission. Sarah, can you get to the storage shed? Yes, 3 minutes. Do it. When Frank's distraction hits, get Sophie clear. I'll deal with Hartford. Dad, she hesitates. If Hartford's running this op, it's not just him. Someone higher up has to be backing him. I know. But first we get the girl. Then we find out how deep this really goes. As Sarah moves into position, Marcus makes one final call to Sheriff Morrison's cell phone. She answers with professional calm. Kate, in about 2 minutes, things are going to get complicated. When they do, remember, you're looking for an armed gang that robbed 3 banks. Nothing more. There's a pause before she responds. Understood. For the record, Mr. Reynolds, we're going to have a long talk after this. Looking forward to it. Marcus settles behind his rifle, watching Hartford through the scope. 15 years of questions are about to be answered. But first, Ghost Eye has a different target to acquire. Time to remind them all why some legends are better left alone. The lumber mill's old PA system crackles to life, Hartford's voice echoing across the yard. Ghost Eye, I know you're out there. Let's be professional about this. You have something I want. I have something you want. Marcus watches through his scope as Hartford positions himself near a window, deliberately exposed. A trap, obviously, but also a message. The old man hasn't lost his edge. Sarah, status? Marcus whispers into his radio. In position. 3 guards on Sophie, 2 by the door. I count 4 sniper nests on the upper levels. Marcus allows himself a grim smile. They remember his preferences for high ground, have planned accordingly, but they've forgotten who taught him to shoot in the first place. Through his scope, Marcus catches a glimpse of Sophie. The teenager's hands are tied, but her eyes are alert, scanning constantly. Ray taught her well. She's looking for exits, weaknesses, just like they trained her. A memory surfaces. Afghanistan, 15 years ago. Hartford briefing the team about a routine mineral survey. Nothing routine about finding $10 trillion worth of rare earth deposits. Nothing routine about what happened after. 2 minutes to showtime, Frank's voice crackles over the radio. Charges are set. Marcus makes his final preparations. Sarah, when it starts, take the guards by the door first. Sophie will know to move when she hears the shots. Copy that, just like Damascus. Hartford's voice booms out again. Last chance, Ghost Eye. The girl for the survey data. Simple exchange. Marcus keys his radio. Frank. Now. The explosion rocks the northern end of the lumber mill. Not the main buildings, but the old processing plant erupting in a controlled blast. Guards rush toward the flames, their carefully planned positions dissolving. In the chaos, Marcus takes his first shot. Not at Hartford, not at the guards, but at something far more specific. The main power transformer. The bullet strikes with surgical precision, plunging the mill into darkness just as the sun dips behind the mountains. Sarah's shots come next. 2 quick cracks from her rifle. The guards by Sophie's door drop before they can react. Inside, Sophie moves instantly, diving away from her remaining captors. Marcus's second shot takes out the emergency generator before it can kick in. Now the only illumination comes from the burning processing plant and the dying sunlight. Perfect conditions for Ghost Eye. Target acquired, Sarah reports, moving to extract. But Hartford isn't so easily outmaneuvered. Full lockdown. His voice cuts through the chaos. No one leaves. Marcus watches through his thermal scope as heat signatures scramble inside the building. The Force Recon teams are moving with practiced efficiency, adapting to the darkness. Professional, dangerous. Got her. Sarah's voice is tight with tension. Moving to extraction point Alpha. Marcus starts providing cover, his rifle cracking in a steady rhythm. Not killing shots. He's targeting weapons, radio equipment, anything to disrupt their coordination. Each shot echoes off the mountains, making it impossible to pinpoint his location. Ghost Eye! Hartford's voice carries a hint of desperation now. The mineral data dies with you. Think about what that means. Another memory. The valley in Afghanistan, rich with rare earth deposits. Crucial for everything from smartphones to military technology. China controls 90% of the world's supply. This discovery could shift the balance of global power. Sophie's clear, Sarah reports. But we've got company. 3 vehicles approaching from the south. Marcus spots them through his scope. More SUVs with government plates. Reinforcements. Time to go, he tells Sarah. Get Sophie to the secondary location. What about you? Marcus chambers another round. Got some questions for an old friend first. In the chaos below, Sheriff Morrison is maintaining her position, keeping local deputies away from the scene. Smart woman. She understands there's more happening here than a simple hostage situation. Hartford appears in the window again, this time speaking into a satellite phone. Marcus reads his lips. Asset located. Awaiting final authorization. That's when Marcus sees it, a glint of metal from the tree line opposite his position. Another sniper, one they missed in their initial sweep. The barrel is aimed not at him, but at the building where Sarah is extracting Sophie. Time slows. The distance is 800 yards, in failing light with a crossing wind. A shot that would be impossible for most snipers. But then Ghost Eye isn't like most snipers. His bullet catches the enemy sniper's round mid-flight, a 1 in a million shot that sends both bullets spiraling harmlessly into the woods. The enemy sniper's muzzle flash gives away his position. Marcus's second shot ensures he won't get another attempt. Dad! Sarah's voice is filled with awe. That was... Get moving, he cuts her off. We'll talk about it later. Hartford's voice carries across the yard again, but this time it's different. Softer. More personal. You know what's at stake here, Ghost Eye? The mineral deposits, they're not just valuable. They're vital. Our country needs them. Marcus lines up his scope on Hartford. And the dead veterans, the bank robberies, were they vital too? Necessary. Had to make it look like ordinary criminal activity. Keep it off the official radar. Marcus's finger tightens on the trigger. You staged all this. Killed innocent people just to find me? To find the survey data? Not just to find it, Hartford replies. To control it. The original survey team had to be eliminated. Too many variables, too many potential leaks. The pieces finally clicked together. Hartford didn't just fake his death in Damascus, he orchestrated the entire operation. The ambush that killed half their team, the explosion that should have killed Marcus, all of it was planned. One last question, Marcus says, his voice cold. The valley. What really happened there? Hartford's laugh is bitter. You still don't remember, do you? What you saw that day. What you really found in that cave. Before Marcus can respond, a new sound cuts through the night. Helicopter rotors approaching fast. Blackhawks. Military. Time's up, Hartford announces. The grown-ups are here now. Marcus takes aim, but something stops him. A memory trying to surface. Something about the valley. About what they found there. Something worse than mineral deposits. Dad. Sarah's urgent voice in his ear. We need to move. Now. Marcus hesitates for a fraction of a second, then melts away into the darkness. The mystery of the valley will have to wait. Right now, his daughter needs him. Behind him, the Blackhawks descend on the lumber mill like angry wasps. Whatever game Hartford is playing, it just got bigger. Much bigger. The safe house is an old ranger station, 30 miles deep in the Montana wilderness. As Marcus pulls up in the Bronco, he spots Sarah's vehicle already parked behind the building, carefully concealed under camouflage netting. She was always thorough. Inside, Sophie sits wrapped in a blanket, hands cupped around a mug of hot chocolate. The teenager's eyes are alert, focused. No signs of shock or trauma. Ray trained her well for this possibility. Sarah stands by the window, her rifle never far from reach. Uncle Marcus, Sophie says, managing a small smile. Grandpa said you might come. Marcus sets his rifle case down carefully. Your grandfather's a smart man? How is he? Stable. Sarah reports, not turning from her watch position. I have contacts at the hospital. They'll move him tonight, somewhere Hartford can't find him. The ranger station's radio crackles, Frank Cooper's voice coming through. Ghost Eye, you copy? Police bands lit up like Christmas. They're setting up roadblocks on every major highway out of the county. Expected, Marcus replies. Status on our other package? Claire and Lisa are safe. Got them to the backup location you specified, but we've got another problem. Sheriff Morrison's been asking questions. Smart ones. Marcus shares a look with Sarah. Kate Morrison isn't someone they can afford to underestimate. She's already proven that today. Let me talk to Sophie, Sarah says quietly. You need to make some decisions, Dad. Fast. Marcus moves to the station's small kitchen, giving them privacy. Through the window, he watches 3 deer pause at the edge of the clearing, then bolt suddenly. Someone's coming. His rifle is in his hands before the thought completes, but Sarah's already moving too, positioning herself at the opposite window. Like father. Like daughter. The approaching figure emerges from the trees, Sheriff Kate Morrison, alone and on foot. Her hands are visible, badge reflecting in the moonlight. She followed our trail, Sarah says, impressed despite herself. Not many could have done that. Marcus lowers his rifle slightly. Sophie, back room, now. The teenager moves without question, another sign of Ray's training. Sarah maintains her coverage while Marcus steps onto the porch, facing Kate. Sheriff, he greets her. Long walk from the lumber mill. Mr. Reynolds, she replies evenly. Or should I say Ghost Eye? Interesting day you're having. You shouldn't be here, Kate. Had to come. Just got off the phone with the FBI. Know what they told me? That they have no record of any operation at the lumber mill. No Blackhawks, no tactical teams, nothing. According to them, it never happened. Marcus says nothing, letting her continue. Then I called in some markers from my time in Army intelligence. The name Hartford came up, along with some interesting stories about Afghanistan, mineral surveys, and a legendary sniper who disappeared 15 years ago. Sarah appears beside Marcus, her rifle lowered but ready. You understand what you're walking into, Sheriff? Kate's eyes flick between them, recognition dawning. You're not just his backup. You're his daughter, the one who's supposed to be dead. Reports of my death were politically expedient, Sarah replies. Like the reports of what really happened in that valley? Kate asks. The ones Hartford's trying so hard to bury? Marcus tenses. What do you know about the valley? Not much. But I know someone who does. Someone who's been waiting 15 years to tell you the truth. She reaches slowly into her jacket, removes a phone. He asked me to give you this. Said you'd want to hear what he has to say. The phone plays a video message. The face that appears makes Marcus's blood run cold. Russo, but not the Russo they saw at the lumber mill. This is the real one, older, scarred, speaking from what looks like a hospital room. Ghost Eye, the man says, his voice weak but urgent. The man you saw today, the one pretending to be me. He's Hartford's puppet, been using my name, my identity. But the real story, the truth about the valley, it's not about minerals. What we found there, what you saw before the explosion, Hartford's been using it, building something that should have stayed buried. The video ends. Kate watches their reactions carefully. Well? Marcus and Sarah exchange looks. Years of training and shared experiences flow between them in that glance. The twin brothers, Marcus says slowly. At my house. They weren't just trying to kill me. They were testing me. Sarah nods. And the other veterans Hartford had killed. All snipers. All from our unit. He's screening, Marcus realizes. Looking for someone with specific skills. Someone who can make an impossible shot. Like the one you made today? Kate asks. Hitting another bullet in mid-flight? The implications sink in. Whatever they found in that valley 15 years ago, whatever Hartford's building, it requires precision that only a handful of people in the world possess. We need to move, Sarah says urgently. If Hartford realizes we've made contact with the real Russo. As if on cue, the radio crackles again. Frank's voice, tense. Ghost Eye. Multiple vehicles approaching from the north. Military grade. They found you. Marcus makes a decision. Kate, you've stepped into something bigger than local law enforcement. Something that could get you killed. Walk away, please. The sheriff chambers around into her service weapon. Little late for that, don't you think? Sarah checks her rifle, a grim smile playing at her lips. She'll do. Fine, Marcus concedes. But you follow our lead. Sarah, get Sophie to Extraction Point Bravo. I'll deal with our visitors. Dad, Sarah protests, but he cuts her off. Not your call. I taught you everything you know about shooting, but not everything I know. The sound of approaching vehicles grows louder. Marcus picks up his rifle, feels the familiar weight. Ghost Eye is about to remind Hartford why some legends are best left alone. Besides, he adds, checking his scope, a father's job is to protect his daughter, even when she doesn't think she needs it. Sarah's expression softens for a moment. Then her training takes over, and she's moving, preparing Sophie for rapid evacuation. Kate takes up a defensive position, her military training evident in her movements. Just so we're clear, she says, when this is over, you're telling me everything. Marcus chambers around. If we survive, Sheriff, I'll tell you a story that will shake your faith in everything you think you know. In the distance, engines grow louder. The night is about to get very interesting. The first shot comes from the tree line, a warning deliberately wide. Marcus identifies the rifle from its report, Barrett M82, .50 caliber. Hartford's men aren't messing around anymore. 4 vehicles, Sarah reports through her scope. 3 teams deploying standard sweep formation. These aren't local militia. They're Delta. Marcus processes this information quickly. Delta Force operators are the best of the best, and Hartford has at least 12 of them. The odds are getting worse by the second. Sheriff, Marcus calls out. Your cruiser still at the access road? Half-mile south, Kate confirms. Keys in the ignition, radio off. Good. Sarah, take Sophie. Kate's cruiser is your exit route. They won't expect you to use law enforcement transport. Sarah hesitates for a split second, then nods. What about you? I'm going to remind them why they called me Ghost Eye. He hands her a small USB drive. Everything I remember about the valley is on this. Get it from the watchmaker. Another shot kicks up dirt near the ranger station's front door. The Delta teams are probing their defenses, looking for reactions. Marcus responds with a precisely aimed round that disables the Barrett's scope. The enemy sniper's curse carries across the clearing. Move, now! Marcus's tone leaves no room for argument. Sarah grabs Sophie and heads for the back door, but the teenager pulls away for a moment, facing Marcus. The thing in the valley, she says urgently. Grandpa told me to tell you. It's not just what you found, it's what found you. Before Marcus can process this, more shots force them into motion. Sarah and Sophie disappear into the darkness while Kate takes up a covering position. They're splitting up, Kate reports. 2 teams flanking wide. Marcus sees it too, classic Delta tactics, but there's something off about their movement pattern. They're not trying to kill us, he realizes. This is a capture operation. His radio crackles. Hartford's voice. Getting sloppy? Ghost Eye? Time was you'd never let anyone sneak up on your position. Wasn't sneaking if I let her find me, Marcus replies, knowing Hartford will understand he means Kate. Always the teacher, weren't you? Always trying to pass on your skills, like with your daughter. Tell me, does she know what really happened to her mother? Marcus's jaw tightens. Hartford is trying to get under his skin, but there's something else in his tone. Urgency. He needs Marcus alive, and he's running out of time. A new sound joins the chaos. Helicopter rotors, but not military this time. Civilian news choppers drawn by the gunfire and police chatter. Witnesses, Kate says. It's good for us? No. Marcus corrects her. It's what Hartford wants. Public confrontation. Lots of cameras. Makes it easier to sell whatever story they've cooked up. As if confirming his theory, police sirens begin wailing in the distance. Local law enforcement responding to reports of shots fired. Marcus makes a quick decision. Kate, your presence here is our ace. They don't know whose side you're on. Use that. When backup arrives, you never saw me. You responded to shots fired found an empty cabin. And I'm going to give Hartford what he wants, a ghost story. Marcus reaches into his pack, pulls out what looks like a small drone. Custom-built, nearly silent, with a sophisticated targeting system. Some new tricks up your sleeve, Kate observes. Gift from a friend in DARPA. Should keep our Delta friends busy. The drone rises silently into the darkness as Marcus begins implementing his plan. The first charge detonates at the far end of the clearing. Not an explosion, but a brilliant magnesium flare. As the Delta teams instinctively turn away from the light, Marcus takes his shot. The bullet strikes a fallen log, ricochets at a precise angle, and hits a fuel line on one of their vehicles. The resulting fire creates a wall of flame, cutting off two of the teams from their transport. Hartford's voice comes through again. Impressive. But you're only delaying the inevitable. The valley changed you, Ghost Eye. Changed all of us. The things we saw there. What we saw was you betraying your own men, Marcus replies, triggering his drone to drop another flare. Setting us up to die so you could keep your secret. Not my secret. Not anymore. There are people above me. People who've been waiting 15 years for you to resurface. The mineral survey was just a cover story. They needed your skills, your particular talents. The pieces start falling into place. The impossible shot Marcus made earlier, hitting another bullet mid-flight. The specific targeting of former snipers. Hartford isn't just trying to capture him, he's trying to prove something. A burst of gunfire forces Marcus to move positions. The Delta teams are adapting to his tactics, working to pin him down. They're good, very good. But they've never faced Ghost Eye in his element. Marcus activates his radio. Sarah, status? Clear of the area, she replies, but Dad, there's something else. The real Russo just sent more data. The valley, the thing you found, it's happening again. Hartford's recreated it. The implications hit Marcus like a physical blow. Memories begin surfacing. The cave in Afghanistan, the strange lights, the way time seemed to bend and twist. What they discovered wasn't just valuable. It was impossible. Kate, he says quietly, whatever you hear about tonight, whatever story they sell to the media, remember one thing. Some secrets stay buried for a reason. The sheriff nods slowly. And some ghosts need to keep haunting. Marcus chambers his last round as the Delta teams begin their final approach. Whatever Hartford's planning, whatever really happened in that valley, one thing is certain. The ghost story is just beginning. The old mining tunnel seems to go on forever, its walls glistening with moisture in Marcus's tactical flashlight beam. After escaping the Delta teams, a feat that required every trick in his considerable arsenal, he followed the coordinates Sarah sent to his encrypted phone. The message came with a cryptic note, Grandpa Ray's insurance policy. Scout leads the way, the German shepherd's training making him perfect for tunnel navigation. The dog's ears prick suddenly, and he stops. Marcus immediately kills his light listening. In the darkness he hears it, voices echoing from a side tunnel. Can't believe he slipped away again, a familiar voice says. It's Martinez, the man who posed as one of Russo's gang members. Hartford's going to be pissed. Hartford's got bigger problems, another voice replies. Washington's asking questions about the power spikes. They're matching the readings from Afghanistan. Marcus edges closer, careful to stay in the shadows. The voices are coming from what appears to be an old foreman's office, now converted into some kind of monitoring station. Through the dirty window, he spots electronic equipment, screens showing data he doesn't understand. His phone vibrates, a message from Sarah. In position with Kate. Sophie's secure. Ray's contact is legit. Doctor, Elizabeth Chen, former DOE physicist, says she knows what happened in the valley. Marcus begins typing a response when something on one of the monitors catches his eye. A pattern of energy readings that seems hauntingly familiar. The same pattern they saw in Afghanistan, just before. A hand grabs his shoulder. Marcus spins, combat knife already drawn but stops short. Standing behind him is Clara Bennett from the diner, but not the Clara he knows. This Clara is dressed in tactical gear, moving with the practiced grace of a trained operative. "We need to talk, Ghost Eye," she whispers, "about what your team really found in that valley." Before Marcus can respond, Scout's ears prick again. More voices, more footsteps, coming from deeper in the tunnel system. Clara gestures to a hidden door Marcus hadn't noticed. "This way, quickly." They slip through the door just as a team of armed men passes their previous position. Through a crack, Marcus recognizes their patch. Not military, but DOE's Strategic Research Division. The same unit that went dark after the Afghanistan incident. The hidden room is a surprise, a fully equipped command center with multiple workstations and a wall of monitors. 2 people are already there. Dr. Elizabeth Chen, a small Asian woman in her 60s, and, to Marcus's shock, Frank Cooper, the town gunsmith. "Sorry for the deception," Frank says, noting Marcus's expression. "Been working with Clara's team for years, keeping tabs on Hartford's operation." "What operation?" Marcus demands. "What did we really find in that valley?" Dr. Chen steps forward, pulling up a file on one of the screens. "In 2008, your team was sent to survey a valley in Afghanistan, supposedly looking for rare earth deposits. But that was a cover story. The real mission was to investigate this." The screen shows a satellite image of the valley, but with an overlay of strange energy patterns, swirling, almost geometric formations that seem to defy physics. "We called it the anomaly," Chen continues. "A naturally occurring phenomenon that, under very specific conditions, allows for, let's call them alterations in the fabric of reality." "The shot," Marcus says slowly, memories surfacing. "The impossible shot I made that day. The bullet that seemed to exist in 2 places at once?" Chen finishes. "Yes. The anomaly creates quantum superposition effects on a macro scale, but only under precise conditions, and only when triggered by certain talents." Clara picks up the explanation. "Hartford's team had been studying the anomaly for months before your mission. They discovered that certain individuals, people with extraordinary hand-eye coordination, spatial awareness, and precision skills, could interact with it. Snipers, basically. But not just any snipers. The best of the best," Frank adds. "People who could make shots that seemed to break the laws of physics. People like you, Ghost Eye." Marcus's mind races, pieces falling into place. "The other veterans Hartford had killed, they were all potential candidates," Chen confirms. "But none of them could do what you did in the valley. None of them could consciously control the anomaly's effects." A distant explosion rocks the tunnel system, Hartford's men getting closer. "That's why they need you now," Clara explains quickly. "Hartford's recreated the anomaly, built a containment facility in an old missile silo. But it's growing unstable. They need someone who can interface with it, control it." "And if I don't help them?" Chen's expression grows grave. "The energy readings we're seeing, they're exponentially higher than Afghanistan. If the containment fails, it won't just be a local event. It could tear a hole in reality itself." Marcus processes this information, his tactical mind already forming plans. "Sarah mentioned data from the real Russo. Where is he?" Secure facility in Idaho, Clara responds. After Hartford's imposter took over his identity, we got him out. He's been helping us build a case, but... Another explosion, closer this time. Scout growls low in his throat. We're out of time, Frank announces, checking his monitors. Hartford's men have found the main entrance. Marcus makes a quick decision. Dr. Chen, I need everything you have on the anomaly. Clara, contact Sarah. Tell her to bring Kate and meet us at the secondary rally point. Frank ... Already on it, the gunsmith says, initiating what appears to be a data deletion protocol. They won't find anything useful here. As the others prepare to evacuate, Marcus studies the energy pattern on the screen one last time. The impossible shot he made today, hitting another bullet mid-flight. It wasn't just skill. The anomaly's effects are spreading, growing stronger. One last thing, Chen says, handing him a small device. This will help you track the energy signatures, but be careful. Where they're strongest, reality gets flexible. Marcus pockets the device, chambering around in his rifle. Time to remind Hartford why some forces shouldn't be tampered with. Reality itself might be at stake, but for Ghost Eye, it's just another impossible shot waiting to be made. The secondary rally point is an abandoned church 15 miles outside of town. As Marcus approaches through the pre-dawn darkness, Chen's device pulses with increasing frequency. The anomaly's energy signatures are stronger here, much stronger than they should be. Something's wrong. Sarah stands at the church entrance, rifle ready, but her posture is off. Tense. Scout picks up on it too, a low growl building in his throat. Dad, she calls out. We've got a problem. Kate found something on Hartford's servers about Mom. Marcus stops at the edge of the tree line, staying in cover. Where's Sophie? Inside with Dr. Chen. But Dad, you need to see this. The device in Marcus's pocket is pulsing faster now, almost humming. Through his scope, he catches a glimpse of movement behind a church window. Definitely not Sophie or Chen. Interesting thing about quantum superposition, a familiar voice calls from inside the church. Hartford. An object can exist in two states simultaneously, like loyalty, for instance. Sarah's expression crumbles. I'm sorry, Dad. They have Ray, the real Ray. The one in the hospital was a double. Marcus processes this betrayal in milliseconds, already moving as the first shots tear through the space where he stood. Delta operators emerge from concealed positions around the church, but Marcus has disappeared into the shadows. Ghost Eye, Hartford's voice echoes across the church grounds. Your daughter made the right choice. Ray told us everything. About the cave. About what really happened to Maria. Marcus circles the perimeter, placing his shots carefully. Not killing shots, he won't give Hartford the satisfaction. Each bullet finds a weapon, a radio, a tactical light. Disabling equipment, creating confusion. You've been carrying that guilt for 15 years, Hartford continues, thinking Maria died in the explosion, but she didn't, did she? She went into the cave first, she saw what was inside. The memory hits Marcus like a physical blow. Maria, his wife, leading the survey team. The strange lights. The way she seemed to be in two places at once before. The anomaly didn't kill her, Hartford reveals. It changed her. And now it's changing everything else. Reality itself is becoming uncertain. As if to prove his point, Marcus watches in disbelief as one of his bullets seems to curve impossibly, splitting into two projectiles that disable two separate targets. The anomaly's effect is spreading, growing stronger. Sarah's voice cuts through his tactical focus. Mom's alive, Dad. Hartford found her. She's at the facility, connected to the containment system. She's been there all along. Marcus spots Kate moving through the shadows on the far side of the church, her police training making her nearly invisible in the darkness. She catches his eye, gestures to her radio. A message coming through. Ghost Eye, this is a watchmaker. Clara's team found something. The energy signatures, they're not random. They're being directed. Someone's been steering the anomaly's effects for 15 years. The pieces finally click together. Maria's expertise in quantum physics, her insistence on leading the survey team, the way she always seemed to know exactly where a shot would land. Your wife understood it first, Hartford calls out. Anomaly isn't just a phenomenon, it's a doorway. And what's on the other side? It's been waiting for someone like you. Someone who can make the impossible shot. Marcus's device is screaming now, the energy readings off the scale. Reality seems to shimmer around the church, light bending in ways that shouldn't be possible. The facility isn't containing the anomaly, Sarah explains, her voice breaking. It's amplifying it. Mom's been using it, trying to reach through to something that showed her possibilities. Infinite possibilities. A new sound cuts through the chaos. Helicopter rotors, but wrong somehow. Marcus looks up to see a Blackhawk approaching. Except it seems to exist in multiple states at once, its rotors moving in impossible patterns. The effect is spreading, Hartford shouts. Without proper guidance, it'll tear reality apart. We need you, Ghost Eye. Your skill, your precision, you're the only one who can control it now. Through his scope, Marcus finally spots Hartford in the church bell tower. But there's something else there too. A figure that seems to shift and change, existing in multiple states simultaneously. Marcus. The voice hits him like a bullet to the heart. Maria's voice. I've seen what's coming. The shots you can make. The changes you can effect. Reality is just another target, if you know where to aim. Kate's voice crackles through his radio. Marcus, Chen's team found Hartford's real files. This isn't about controlling the anomaly. They want to weaponize it, use it to reshape reality itself. The quantum Blackhawk lands, or seems to land in several places at once. The door opens, revealing Maria, but not the Maria he remembers. This version of his wife exists in quantum superposition, simultaneously younger and older, there and not there. Time to choose, Hartford announces. Your wife, your daughter, the future itself, all hanging on one impossible shot. Marcus chambers around, his mind racing. The shot that killed Maria 15 years ago? The one he's replayed in his nightmares countless times. Did it actually happen? Or did she step willingly into the anomaly, becoming something else entirely? The scope in his hands feels heavier than ever as he faces an impossible choice. Take the shot that might save reality itself, or lower his weapon and step into a new one. The quantum Black Hawk exists in multiple states, its form shifting like a mirage in the desert. Through his scope, Marcus watches as Maria, or the being that used to be Maria, steps out in several different ways simultaneously. Each version of her is slightly different, some younger, some older, some exactly as he remembers her from that day in Afghanistan. The shot you're considering, all versions of Maria speak in unison, creating an ethereal chorus. You've already taken it, and haven't. Both realities exist. Marcus feels something he hasn't experienced in 15 years, his perception beginning to split. Through his scope, he can see multiple trajectories, multiple possibilities, all existing at once. This was what made him special, what made him Ghost Eye, the ability to see and select the perfect shot from infinite possibilities. Dad, Sarah calls out, her voice heavy with regret. I saw her too in the facility, what she's become. It's beautiful and terrible at the same time. She showed me things, possibilities. Your daughter understands, Hartford says from his position in the bell tower. Anomaly isn't a weapon, it's evolution, the next step. But we need your gift to control it, to guide humanity through the quantum foam of possibility. Marcus's device is screaming now, its readings completely off the scale. Reality around the church seems to be thinning, becoming permeable. Through his enhanced perception, he can see multiple versions of events playing out simultaneously. In one, he takes the shot, ending whatever his wife has become. In another, he joins her, becoming something beyond human. In a third, the anomaly consumes everything, reality shattering like glass. Kate's voice cuts through his quantum awareness. Marcus. Chen's team found something else. The original anomaly in Afghanistan. It wasn't natural. Someone created it. Someone's been planning this for decades. Scout growls, but the sound seems to come from multiple directions at once. The German shepherd's form blurs, existing in several states, each one alert to different threats. Your companion understands too, Maria says, her quantum forms moving closer. Animals sense it naturally, the multiplicity of existence. Humans needed the anomaly to open their eyes, but you, Marcus, you always had the gift. That's why they chose you. They? Marcus asks, his finger steady on the trigger despite the reality-bending effects around him. The ones who sent the anomaly, Hartford explains. They've been watching, waiting for someone who could bridge the gap between single-state existence and quantum reality. A human who could naturally perceive and influence quantum superposition. Through his scope, Marcus sees it, subtle shifts in Hartford's posture, micro-expressions that exist in quantum superposition. The man isn't just working with whatever lies beyond the anomaly. He's been changed by it too. The other snipers, Marcus realizes, you weren't eliminating them. You were testing them, looking for others like me. And failing, Maria confirms. You're unique, Marcus. Your gift. It's why I fell in love with you. Why I had to protect you that day in the cave. Why did our daughter inherit the potential for quantum perception? Sarah steps forward, her own form beginning to blur slightly. That's why I could never miss a shot during training. Why I always knew exactly where a target would be. We're not just snipers, Dad. We're quantum observers. Marcus's tactical mind races, processing implications. Every impossible shot he's ever made, every time his bullet seemed to bend reality, it wasn't just skill. He was unconsciously manipulating quantum probability, choosing the perfect outcome from infinite possibilities. The facility, he says slowly, you're not containing the anomaly. You're using it to amplify quantum effects, to force regular humans to perceive multiple states. To evolve them, Hartford corrects. But the process is dangerous without a guide. Someone who can naturally perceive and select optimal quantum states. Someone like Ghost Eye. The quantum Black Hawk's rotors create impossible patterns in the air as reality continues to thin. Through his scope, Marcus can see the barriers between possibilities becoming transparent, each choice creating new branches, new realities. I've seen them, Marcus. Maria's voice resonates across quantum states. The ones who sent the anomaly. They exist in all possibilities simultaneously. Perfect beings of pure quantum probability. They want to help us ascend. By erasing our reality, Marcus counters, his enhanced perception showing him the truth. By dissolving everything into quantum foam. By freeing us from the prison of single-state existence, Hartford argues. Imagine it, Ghost Eye. A reality where every possibility exists at once, where death itself becomes meaningless because every version of life continues. Marcus's scope shows him the truth of Hartford's words. The man exists in multiple states now, including ones where he never betrayed his team, where he died in Afghanistan, where he became something else entirely. Last chance, Maria says, her quantum forms almost reaching him. Take the shot that saves this reality, or become something more. See what I've seen. Become what I've become. Through his quantum perception, Marcus sees every possible shot, every possible outcome. But he also sees something else, a pattern in the chaos, a purpose behind the impossible geometries of quantum reality. You're right about one thing, he tells his quantum wife, his finger tightening on the trigger. I am Ghost Eye. I see everything, including the one possibility they never considered. Reality holds its breath, existing in multiple states, waiting for Marcus Reynolds to make an impossible shot, or perhaps to become the impossible shot himself. The church grounds have become a quantum battlefield, reality itself bending and warping around multiple possibilities. Through his enhanced perception, Marcus sees Kate moving through the shadows. But not just one Kate. Multiple versions of her circle the perimeter, each taking a different tactical approach. The effect is spreading, Dr. Chen's voice crackles through quantum static on the radio. The facility's containment systems are failing. Whatever you're going to do, Ghost Eye, do it fast. Hartford's men have taken up positions around the church, but they're becoming harder to track. Each soldier exists in multiple states, making traditional tactical assessment impossible. Scout whines, his canine senses overwhelmed by the quantum chaos. You're beginning to understand, Maria says, her quantum forms creating a chorus of voices. Single-state reality is a limitation. A prison. Watch. She raises her hand, and Marcus witnesses the impossible. A Delta operator fires at her, but the bullet splits into quantum possibilities. In one state, it hits. In another, it misses. In a third, it never existed at all. All possibilities exist simultaneously. Mom! Sarah calls out, her own form starting to blur more distinctly. Show him what you showed me. Show him what we can become. Through his scope, Marcus sees the truth. His daughter isn't just supporting Hartford's plan. She's already partially transformed. Her quantum state is unstable, shifting between possibilities, the gift she inherited from him evolving into something new. The facility, Hartford explains, his multiple forms gesturing toward the horizon. It's not just amplifying the anomaly. It's a doorway. The beings who sent it, they're waiting for us to step through, to join them in quantum existence. Marcus's tactical mind races through possibilities. The quantum Black Hawk continues its impossible flight patterns, its rotors cutting through multiple realities at once. Each beat creates ripples in space-time, spreading the effect further. Ghost Eye? Watchmaker's voice breaks through the quantum static. Clara's team reach the facility. The energy readings, they're exponential. The effect will reach critical mass in less than 30 minutes. When it does, Maria's quantum chorus explains, the barrier between single-state and quantum reality will dissolve completely. Every possibility will exist simultaneously. Permanent quantum superposition. Marcus sees it through his scope. The horizon beginning to blur, reality becoming thin and permeable. In the distance, lights from Millbrook flicker in and out of existence as quantum effects reach the town. You're not just a sniper, Hartford calls down from the bell tower. You're a quantum observer. Your gift allows you to collapse probability waves, to choose the perfect shot from infinite possibilities. That's why they chose you. Why did they arrange everything to bring you here? The other veterans, Marcus realizes. The ones you killed. They could sense it too, couldn't they? That's why they had to die. They would have warned others. They weren't ready, Hartford admits, his quantum forms shifting. Their minds couldn't handle quantum perception, but you've been doing it naturally your whole life. Every impossible shot was you unconsciously selecting the perfect quantum state. Sarah steps closer, her form increasingly unstable. Dad, I've seen what's coming. The quantum beings, they're not invaders. They're us. Humanity evolved beyond single-state existence. They sent the anomaly back through time to ensure their own creation. The device in Marcus's pocket is beyond screaming now, its readings meaningless in quantum chaos. Reality around the church has become a kaleidoscope of possibilities, each one bleeding into the next. Marcus, Kate's voice cuts through the chaos, all versions of her converging on one message. Chen found Hartford's original files. The quantum beings, they're not what they seem. This isn't evolution, it's erasure. They want to collapse all possibilities into one quantum state. Their state. Through his enhanced perception, Marcus finally sees the complete picture. The impossible geometries of quantum space, the patterns in probability. They're not random. They're a blueprint, a design billions of years in the making. The shot you're considering, Maria's quantum chorus resonates. It already exists in multiple states, but only you can choose which one becomes reality. Time's up, Hartford announces as reality continues to thin. The facility's reaching critical mass. Choose now, Ghost Eye. Choose which reality becomes permanent. Sarah reaches out, her quantum form flickering. Dad, please, we can be together. All of us. Every possibility at once. Scout growls, but the sound exists in quantum superposition, both a warning and a greeting, danger and safety simultaneously. Through his scope, Marcus lines up the most impossible shot of his career. Not at Hartford, not at the facility, not at the quantum beings waiting to emerge. You're right about one thing, he tells his quantum wife as his finger tightens on the trigger. I am a quantum observer, and I choose. Reality holds its breath across multiple states, waiting for Ghost Eye's final shot to determine which possibility becomes truth. Marcus Reynolds, known to some as Ghost Eye, sees every possible shot simultaneously through his quantum-enhanced perception. Each one represents a different future, a different reality. But there's one possibility even the quantum beings haven't considered. You forgot something fundamental, he announces, his voice cutting across quantum states. About what makes a perfect shot. Through his scope, he watches Maria's quantum forms pause, curiosity rippling across multiple realities. Hartford leans forward in his bell tower, existing in several states of anticipation. The best shots, Marcus continues, his finger steady on the trigger, aren't about hitting the target. They're about understanding the space between shooter and target, the journey of the bullet, the path it takes. Sarah's quantum form flickers as understanding begins to dawn. She's her father's daughter, after all. Dad, you can't mean... The quantum being sent the anomaly back through time, Marcus explains, creating a loop that ensures their own existence. But loops have weak points, moments where reality is most vulnerable. He shifts his aim slightly, not targeting any person or thing, but rather the space between possibilities. Through his gift, he can see it. The quantum foam that exists between realities, the fabric of possibility itself. Ghost Eye, Hartford calls out, genuine fear creeping into his quantum voices. Think about what you're risking. One wrong calculation. I never calculate shots, Marcus replies. I feel them. The trigger pull exists in multiple states until Marcus collapses them into one perfect moment. The bullet leaves his rifle, but this is no ordinary shot. It travels through quantum space itself, cutting through the barrier between possibilities. The facility. Dr. Chen's voice crackles through whatever reality still contains radios. The energy patterns. They're inverting. Marcus watches through his enhanced perception as his bullet creates a cascade effect. By striking the quantum foam directly, he's not choosing between possibilities, he's creating an entirely new one. You magnificent bastard, Hartford breathes across quantum states. You're collapsing the loop itself. The quantum Black Hawk's impossible rotations begin to stabilize. Maria's multiple forms start to converge. Reality itself seems to take a deep breath, preparing for something unprecedented. Mom, Sarah calls out, her own quantum state fluctuating wildly. What's happening? He's not destroying the anomaly. Maria's chorus becomes a single voice filled with wonder. He's taming it, bringing it under human control. Marcus chambers another round, takes aim at the space between Hartford's quantum states. Humanity isn't ready for quantum existence, he declares. But we're not meant for single-state reality either. There's a middle ground. The second shot pierces quantum space, creating a ripple effect that starts pulling Hartford's multiple forms into alignment. The former commander struggles, but can't resist the collapse. The quantum beings, Hartford gasps, now existing in just one reality. They'll try again. They need us to become them. No, Marcus corrects him, chambering a third round. They are us. One possible future, but not the only one. The third shot is the most impossible yet. It travels through quantum space and strikes the facility's containment system, not to destroy it, but to modify it. The energy readings shift, transform, become something new. Dad. Sarah's voice is solid now, her quantum state stabilized but not eliminated. I can still see them, the other possibilities, but they're quieter. Because now you're choosing to see them, Marcus explains, not being overwhelmed by them. Through his scope, he watches as reality reasserts itself, but not quite the same reality as before. The quantum effect remains, but controlled, managed. Humanity's first step toward a true understanding of quantum existence, taken on their own terms. Maria steps forward, now existing in a single primary state but with echoes of quantum possibility around her. You found a third way, she says softly. Not single-state existence, not full quantum chaos, but something in between. Ghost Eye. Watchmaker's voice comes through clearly now. The facility's stabilizing. Whatever you did, it worked. The quantum beings, their timeline is changing. They're becoming something else. Something new. Hartford's men lower their weapons. Their quantum states settled, but not entirely gone. They can still see possibilities, but no longer lose themselves in them. It'll take time, Marcus says, finally lowering his rifle. For humanity to learn to handle quantum perceptions safely, to understand the gift without being consumed by it. Kate emerges from the shadows, her tactical movement now firmly in one reality, but with an enhanced awareness of other possibilities. And who's going to teach them? Marcus looks at his family, his quantum-touched wife, his gifted daughter, even Scout with his enhanced senses. Then at Hartford, who chose the wrong path but for understandable reasons. We all will, he decides, because now we understand the most important thing about quantum existence. What's that? Sarah asks, embracing her mother who is finally, truly present. That the best future isn't about choosing one possibility over another. It's about learning to see all possibilities and making informed choices about which ones to pursue. The sun rises over the church, its light refracting slightly through the quantum-touched reality. Not quite the same world as before, but not the chaos the quantum beings intended either. A world where humanity can grow into its quantum potential naturally, guided by those who understand both the gift and its responsibilities. So, Kate says with a slight smile, still planning to retire? Marcus chambers a final round, feels the quantum possibilities sing through his enhanced perception. Retirement's overrated. Besides, seems like the world could use a few ghost eyes keeping watch. Sarah shoulders her own rifle, her quantum perception now a tool rather than a burden. Like father, like daughter? No, Marcus corrects her, seeing infinite possibilities spread out before them. Like humans, choosing their own path. Above them, the quantum-touched sky shimmers with potential, as humanity takes its first conscious step toward an uncertain, infinite future. Ghost Eye will be watching, making sure they step true. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hits the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.